Can you imagine waking up one day and the cheapest meal you depend on is just gone? Not in a few years this year. Right now, across America. The fast food chains that once held working-class life together are collapsing. McDonald's has quietly closed over 500 locations. Subway has shut down more than 4,000 stores since 2014. KFC and Wendy's are pulling out of towns where they were once the only hot meal in sight. This isn't just about food, it's about losing the last affordable comfort many families had. It's about losing trust. We thought these places would always be there. But now, with each quiet closure, they've gone from familiar to forgotten. So what happens when even fast food becomes too expensive, too rare, or simply vanishes? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today, we reveal 10 big restaurant chains going out of business in 2025. Let's start with the most surprising one. Number 1, McDonald's. Once upon a stretch of highway, in the heart of nearly every small town and bustling city across America, stood a McDonald's. Not just a fast food restaurant, but a landmark. It was a place where families shared Sunday fries after church, teenagers gathered after football games, and travelers pulled in for a bite that felt familiar. But something changed, and now, in the year 2025, the Golden Arches are no longer a sign of comfort, but a fading memory in many parts of the country. At its peak, McDonald's had over 15,000 locations blanketing the United States. It was a part of daily life, from Happy Meals that lit up children's faces to dollar menu burgers that kept millions fed when money ran low. It stood as a rare symbol of consistency. Yet between the years 2021 and 2024, more than 500 locations quietly shut their doors. The hardest hit small towns, roadside communities, and regions that depended heavily on tourism, especially from Canada, which saw over 5 million fewer visitors cross the border. The economic toll has been severe. The average cost of a Big Mac meal has climbed to between $13 and $15, a price that no longer makes sense to retirees on fixed incomes or hourly workers living paycheck to paycheck. As one expert put it, people aren't choosing between fast food restaurants anymore. They're choosing between dinner and gasoline. But perhaps even more damaging than the cost is the loss of human touch. The McDonald's of today looks sleek but feels cold. Ordering kiosks, minimal staffing, and an atmosphere that feels more like an airport terminal than a community space have alienated older customers. A 2024 Morning Consult survey showed that nearly 2/3 of customers over the age of 45 feel uncomfortable in this new environment. The nostalgia is gone, replaced by blinking screens and indifferent service. Compounding the issue was the scandal that broke in 2021, when private messages from the McDonald's CEO were leaked, blaming parents after a tragic police incident. The public outcry was immediate. Trust cracked. Add in lawsuits over hidden health risks, viral videos exposing unclean kitchens, and workers walking out mid-shift, and the brand's image spiraled. This wasn't just about burgers anymore. It was about betrayal. But what's most tragic is what's left behind. In rural counties where McDonald's was often the only affordable hot meal for miles, its departure has left real scars. For the elderly, it was a rare place to dine with dignity. For low-income families, it was a treat they could still afford. And for countless part-time workers, it was the only job keeping the lights on. When the Golden Arches fall, something far more personal crumbles too. Still, there is a quiet upside. Some communities have responded by returning to home cooking, local gardens, and neighborhood potlucks. Emergency room visits linked to fast food-related illnesses have started to decline in certain regions. Maybe, just maybe, this signals a reset, not just in how we eat, but in how we live. And yet, as more McDonald's locations dim their lights, a bigger question lingers. Did we lose this giant because of business decisions? Or did we, as a nation, forget the importance of breaking bread together? Number 2, Burger King. The second largest burger chain in America is now teetering on the edge of collapse. Between the year 2020 and the end of 2024, Burger King permanently shut down more than 400 of its restaurants across the United States. This wasn't a quiet retreat from urban shopping districts or upscale neighborhoods. The closures struck hardest in the Midwest and the South, places where the flame-grilled Whopper had once been more than just a sandwich. For millions of working-class families, Burger King was a symbol of dignity, choice, and affordability. But now, The chain that once proudly told Americans, "Have it your way," is slipping away from the very people who depended on it most, back in the golden decades, from the 1980s through the early 2000s. Burger King wasn't just a competitor to McDonald's. It had its own loyal following, the Whopper, stacked with flame-grilled beef and all the toppings you could want. It wasn't just food, it was freedom. Freedom to choose your meal, customize it just the way you liked, and walk away feeling like you mattered, all without draining your wallet. By the early 2000s, Burger King had expanded to over 11,000 locations across the country, becoming a staple in highway rest stops, suburban neighborhoods, and small towns alike. But times changed. According to data from Restaurant Business Online, foot traffic plummeted in states like Texas, Kentucky, and Ohio, dropping by as much as 30%. Highway locations that once buzzed with travelers now sit half empty, their booths still outfitted with cracked plastic chairs and dim yellow lights untouched since 2008. The scent of old fryer oil lingers in the air. Meanwhile, newer rivals like Shake Shack and Five Guys began offering cleaner, trendier alternatives, fresher ingredients, stylish interiors, and a sense of pride in what they served. Many industry analysts now wonder if these rising stars are not just competition, but replacements. Still, it wasn't just time or taste that did the most damage. In 2021, a tone-deaf tweet from Burger King UK, "Women belong in the kitchen," went viral for all the wrong reasons. Within 30 days, the brand's favorability rating plummeted by 18%. What was intended to be edgy turned out to be disastrous. Lawsuits followed. Franchise owners accused the parent corporation of inflating supply costs and hiding unfavorable terms in post-COVID contracts. Trust between the brand and its operators unraveled, but the real human cost came quietly. According to reports from the counter and labor union surveys, those 400 closures likely left more than 19,000 employees out of work. Many of these workers lived in rural towns where job opportunities were already few and far between. Now, they face joblessness without severance, without retraining programs, and with no safety net. The consequences stretch even further. For elderly Americans living on Social Security, or for those receiving SNAP assistance, the $12 Whopper combo, once a rare hot meal, is now out of reach. Drive past shuttered Burger Kings today, and you'll see empty parking lots, darkened signs, and faded play areas. They've become ghostly reminders of how quickly a comfort can vanish in modern America. And yet, amid the ruins, something unexpected is stirring. In towns where fast food once dominated, local food co-ops report rising demand. County health departments in Mississippi and Arkansas have quietly noted a dip in emergency room visits linked to high sodium intake. The loss of Burger King may hurt in the short term, but could it also mark the beginning of a healthier, more self-reliant way of eating as the Whopper fades from the American diet? It leaves behind more than just an empty bun. It leaves a question. Is this the end of an era, or the beginning of a reckoning? Has our food system finally been pushed to the point where real change is not just needed, but inevitable? Number 3, Pizza Hut. Picture a time when stepping into a Pizza Hut felt like something special, not luxurious, but meaningful. For many working-class families in the 1980s and 90s, it was as close to a restaurant celebration as they could afford. The red roof was a beacon, promising a hot pan pizza, a cozy vinyl booth, and maybe even a tabletop arcade game glowing in the corner. This wasn't just a place to eat, it was a place to gather. Birthdays, good report cards, Little League wins. Pizza Hut was where those small victories were turned into big memories. Fast forward to 2025, and that familiar dining room is nearly silent, with dusty windows and chairs that haven't felt the weight of a family in years. From 2017 through the end of 2024, Pizza Hut shut down more than 1,500 locations across the United States. That includes over 300 closures in just one single year. 2023. Today, fewer than 15% of all Pizza Hut restaurants still offer dine-in service. The rest mostly carry-out counters shoved into strip malls, surrounded by dollar stores and vape shops. States like Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, once proud Pizza Hut territory, are now scattered with the husks of what used to be the community pizza stop. The reasons behind the collapse aren't hard to understand. In an era that values speed, flexibility, and digital ease, Pizza Hut stayed married to a dine-in model that simply didn't evolve. Domino's cornered the delivery market with efficiency. Blaze Pizza and MOD Pizza stepped in with fully customizable pies that felt hip and made to order. But Pizza Hut clung to the past, to slower kitchens, fixed menus, and aging locations with high overhead costs. The large dining spaces that once felt inviting now became liabilities. Add to that a scandal in 2023 health inspections in Illinois and New Jersey uncovered serious hygiene violations, and soon after, viral videos exposed undercooked pizzas and disastrous service delays. The damage was swift. Trust, once earned over decades, was erased in days. But the fallout goes deeper than corporate losses. In many American suburbs and rural towns, Pizza Hut was the only place where families could sit down together without breaking the bank. Now those communities are left with fewer places to gather. Thousands of part-time workers, many earning between $9 and $13 an hour, were laid off, particularly in mall-based locations already struggling with foot traffic. Those jobs may not have paid much, but they paid enough to cover groceries, school supplies, or a phone bill, and now they're gone. What's left in these towns is more than just an empty restaurant. It's the loss of a shared experience, one that didn't depend on income, status, or even a reservation. When Pizza Hut was at its best, it offered more than food. It gave families a place to feel normal, even special, for an hour or two. A seat at the table when life outside those four walls felt uncertain or unfair. Now, as red roofs fade and signs come down, so too does a piece of the American family story. Is this just the natural course of business evolution? Or is it another sign that we're losing more than restaurants? That we're losing the very spaces that once helped hold communities together? Number 4. KFC. KFC was never just about fried chicken. For decades, it stood as a symbol of comfort, tradition, and togetherness. A red and white bucket carried more than food, it carried moments. After long work days, it filled kitchen tables with laughter. When dinner plans fell apart, it stepped in like an old friend. And for retirees and working families watching every dollar, it was that rare treat that didn't feel like a compromise. But now, in 2025, KFC is slipping out of reach not just physically, but emotionally too. Since 2021, more than 500 KFC locations have closed their doors. In 2024 alone, over 100 stores shut down. Big states like New York, Illinois, and California, once loyal strongholds, have seen sales drop between 15 and 20% year after year. According to Google Trends, even interest in finding KFC at airports or highway exits has dropped by 22% since before the pandemic. What used to be a dependable presence is now fading, store by store, sign by sign. The reasons aren't hard to grasp. KFC has remained frozen in time. While Popeyes and Chick-fil-A introduced spicy new recipes and regional specialties, KFC stuck to the same old combos. Meanwhile, prices soared. A two-piece meal now ranges from $11 to $13, nearly the same as many sit-down diners, for someone living on Social Security or minimum wage. That's no longer a deal, it's a strain. But the deeper blow is trust. In 2023, disturbing undercover videos from KFC suppliers revealed chickens in appalling conditions. Even longtime customers recoiled. Since then, online platforms like Reddit and DoorDash have filled with stories of wrong orders, missing food, and delivery delays. The chain feels distant, disorganized, and out of touch, and the consequences are personal in smaller towns. KFC used to be the only place to get a warm meal after 8 at night. Now people are left with vending machines or overpriced gas station snacks. Thousands of part-time employees, many of them students, seniors, or single parents, have lost their jobs. In an already shaky economy, those jobs mattered. They paid rent, groceries, and bus fare, when even KFC, the fallback choice for tough weeks, vanishes. It leaves a hole bigger than hunger. It forces us to ask when even small comforts disappear. What's left for those living on the edge? Number 5. Wendy's. Wendy's never needed to shout to be heard. It didn't dazzle with neon lights or gimmicky ads. What it offered was something quieter: a square burger wrapped in wax paper, a warm baked potato, and $1 coffee poured by someone who might actually know your name. In towns across America, Wendy's became part of the landscape, Not flashy, but familiar. A place where delivery drivers took breaks between shifts, retirees lingered over coffee refills, and tired workers grabbed dinner without spending too much. But in 2025, that unassuming warmth is fading fast. According to Restaurant Business Online and QSR Magazine, Wendy's plans to shutter more than 400 underperforming restaurants in the United States by the end of the year, in core markets like Ohio, Georgia, and Tennessee. Sales have dropped over 14%. Combo meals like the classic Dave's Single now cost more than $10 in many cities, nearly double what they did 5 years ago. For folks living on fixed incomes or minimum wage jobs, even fast food no longer feels affordable. Step into many Wendy's locations today, and you'll see what's going wrong. Cracked tiles, flickering lights, soda fountains out of order stores that haven't seen a refresh since 2010. Competitors like Shake Shack or Chick-fil-A have sleek counters, digital kiosks, greenery, and updated menus. Wendy's, in comparison, feels like it's standing still. Online reviews paint a picture of rising frustration, cold food, wrong orders, slow lines. And with a menu that hasn't meaningfully changed in years, Wendy's seems disconnected from today's demand for fresher, greener, more personalized food. The damage isn't just cosmetic. In 2022, Wendy's came under fire for refusing to raise wages during record inflation, even as its CEO pocketed over $10 million in compensation. The result? A wave of discontent from the very working-class communities Wendy's once proudly served. Boycotts followed. So did labor protests. The trust that made Wendy's feel like part of the neighborhood began to crack. But what we're losing isn't just another fast food option. For many small towns, especially those without a Chick-fil-A, MOD Pizza, or Shake Shack, Wendy's was the only reliable meal after dark. It was also a starting point, a first job for countless teenagers, a lifeline for single parents, a stepping stone towards something better. Now, those doors are closing. And so the question becomes, how much do we lose when we let places like Wendy's slip away? Not just the food, but the rhythm they gave to everyday life. A place to stop, to rest, to feel seen. That's not something Shake Shack can replicate with modern chairs and fancy aioli. That's something earned, over years of simply being there. Number 6, Taco Bell. Taco Bell used to be the last stop when nothing else was open, after a long shift, during midnight drives, or in the rush between errands. It was always there, affordable, fast, and just strange enough to feel exciting. The Doritos Locos Taco, the Crunchwrap Supreme, that giant soda for under $2. It wasn't just food, it was a small reward for pushing through the day. But now, the lights are dimming, and the crunch doesn't sound the same. According to Yum Brand's first quarter report for 2025, Taco Bell's U.S. sales dropped by 11.3%, its steepest decline since the pandemic. More than 350 stores have shut down since 2022, hitting urban areas and Midwest towns the hardest. Data from Placer.ai shows foot traffic has fallen over 17%. In Arizona and California, where Taco Bell once thrived, closures are picking up speed. Meanwhile, the complaints pile up: long waits, lukewarm food, and service that's no longer 24/7 in many places. The problem runs deeper than service. Taco Bell hasn't introduced a major new menu item in years. While Chipotle builds its brand around freshness and meal customization, Taco Bell keeps leaning on aging combos with climbing prices. A meal with 2 burritos now costs over $11, up almost 60% from 2018, but too often arrives cold, flavorless, and disappointing. The chain's credibility has also suffered. In 2023, viral TikToks and Reddit posts accused Taco Bell of serving questionable beef and reheated leftovers. Consumer Reports warned about dangerously high levels of sodium and trans fats. For families and older customers, those red flags mattered. The trust is breaking down. The ripple effect: fewer late-night snacks for students, fewer reliable meals for seniors living alone, fewer options for night shift workers heading home on empty stomachs. When Taco Bell shuts its doors, it erases one of the last hot meals within reach for many. Chipotle offers fresh bowls made to order. Local taco trucks bring spice and flexibility. Taco Bell. It's growing stale, if you've eaten at all 3. Which one really respected your hunger and your wallet? Number 7, Subway. Subway once felt like a quiet breakthrough in fast food, a place where you could skip the fryer, load up on vegetables, and still walk out full for less than $10. Build your own sandwich, choose the bread. Pile on the toppings that gave customers control in a world where most fast food menus came fixed and fried. At its height in 2015, Subway had more than 27,000 locations across the United States. But by the end of 2024, that number had dropped below 20,000. That's over 7,000 stores gone, and with them, a sense of choice for people trying to eat just a little better. According to data from Statista and Business Insider, Subway has closed one store every 16 hours across North America over the past 3 years. The most common closures: locations inside gas stations, airports, and hospitals, places where people once relied on Subway for a fast, affordable, semi-healthy option. But the chain's Eat Fresh image has faded. What was once a promise now feels like an empty slogan. Sales have dropped more than 20% in several states. Subway no longer stands for health. It's become a symbol of corner cutting and corporate neglect. The scandals only made things worse. In 2020, the Supreme Court of Ireland ruled that Subway's bread had too much sugar to legally be called bread. A year later, a New York Times investigation questioned whether the chain's tuna even contained tuna at all, and the legacy of former spokesperson Jared Fogle, convicted in 2015 for unspeakable crimes, cast a long shadow over the brand's reputation. Customers are noticing the decline. Complaints now focus on soggy bread, wilted lettuce, and impersonal, rushed service. In contrast, Jersey Mike's slices meet fresh in front of you. Firehouse Subs serves hot sandwiches that feel crafted with care. Subway, by comparison, feels cold both in temperature and experience. You don't feel like you're being served. You feel like you're being processed. For middle-class Americans who once relied on Subway for a cheap but decent lunch, this decline stings. Seniors managing diabetes are losing a go-to meal. Workers on tight schedules are turning back to greasy, less healthy options. And the towns that lose a Subway don't just lose a restaurant, they lose one of the last places where eating fast didn't mean eating poorly. What remains isn't just hunger, it's that quiet sense of being left behind. Again. Number 8. Dairy Queen. For generations. Dairy Queen wasn't just a place to get ice cream, it was the flavor of summer itself. In small towns across the Midwest and the South, it was a beloved fixture. The swirled, soft-serve cones, the blizzards thick enough to flip upside down, the sundaes with hot fudge and peanuts, they weren't just desserts, they were rituals, whether after church, ball games, or long drives on dusty roads. DQ offered a taste of joy that stuck with people. But now, in 2025, that sweetness is melting away. Since 2022, more than 300 Dairy Queen locations have shut their doors. Foot traffic in states like Iowa and Kentucky, once strongholds for the brand, has dropped nearly 25%. According to store reports, locations near parks, schools, and roadside stops have seen revenue plunge by more than 18%. What was once a magnet for families and local teens is becoming a ghost of its former self. The reasons are hard to ignore. Many DQ stores still look and feel like it's the early 2000s. Menus haven't kept pace with changing diets, while other chains now offer dairy-free, low-sugar, or plant-based options. Dairy Queen seems stuck in time. Viral videos circulating online show blizzards barely mixed, burgers sloppily assembled, cones melting before they hit the counter. In states like Texas and Georgia, health inspections have uncovered troubling sanitation issues, shaking customer trust. But the deeper loss goes far beyond melted ice cream. Rural communities depended on DQ as a place to gather. It was a cool spot on a hot day, a quick bite that didn't break the bank, a shared memory between generations. For children in small towns, it was often the only place they could go to celebrate anything. For retirees, it was a social space, a reason to leave the house. For workers, it was a midday escape. If Dairy Queen disappears, what vanishes with it is more than cones and sundaes. It's the feeling that, for a few minutes, everything could be simple, sweet, and familiar, in a world moving fast and pulling apart. DQ was one of the few places that still felt like home. Number 9. Hardee's. For decades, Hardee's was the quiet engine of morning life in rural and southern America. It wasn't fancy. It didn't chase trends. But for early risers, truckers, farmers, factory hands, it delivered exactly what they needed: hot, scratch-made biscuits, thick bacon, and a reliable cup of coffee, all served in a no-frills setting that felt like part of the town. From small highways to county crossroads, Hardee's opened its doors before dawn, anchoring the day for those who worked with their hands and didn't ask for much. But between 2019 and 2024, more than 200 of those doors quietly closed for good. Missouri and West Virginia were hit especially hard, as long-haul driving declined and interstate traffic thinned out. The customer base that once filled those booths before sunrise began to vanish. Hardee's tried to adapt, but after its merger with Carl's Jr., the brand lost its way. The once distinctive identity became muddled, confusing menus that blended regional tastes, aging interiors left untouched for years, and a lack of clear direction all chipped away at the trust built over generations. Online reviews now paint a bleak picture: dirty restrooms, long waits, lukewarm food, and stores that feel more neglected than welcoming. Meanwhile, competitors like Culver's refresh their image with updated breakfast offerings, clean dining spaces, and a sense of care that Hardee's seems to have left behind. The closure of a Hardee's isn't just the loss of a biscuit, it's the loss of a morning routine in towns already underserved, where the gas station sells more food than the grocery store. A Hardee's breakfast was more than a meal, it was a moment of familiarity for elderly residents. It was often the one place to sit, be greeted by name, and feel seen before the rest of the world even woke up. Now, many small towns face mornings with nothing but cold, prepackaged sandwiches from convenience stores, and with each shuttered Hardee's, rural America loses another gathering place, another comfort, another quiet reminder that someone out there still thought about those who start their day before the sun does. Number 10, Jack in the Box, out west. Jack in the Box once stood for Freedom Hot Tacos at 2 a.m., glowing signs on empty highways, and a place that stayed open when everything else closed. But since 2022, over 80 locations have shut down, and foot traffic has dropped sharply in cities like Las Vegas and Santa Monica. With nightlife fading, tourism dipping, and crime rising after dark, Jack is struggling. Its oversized menu overwhelms. Its stores feel neglected, and customer reviews speak of grime, cold food, and distant service. Meanwhile, chains like In-N-Out win loyalty with simple menus and spotless spaces. Jack in the Box, once a favorite of night shift workers and students, is slipping from relevance. For many working class and immigrant communities, it was more than food, it was a late-night safety net. Now, that light in the dark is flickering out, and few places remain to take its place. When even the restaurants we relied on for warmth, routine, and a low-cost meal start to disappear, the loss runs deeper than hunger. It marks the erosion of familiarity, the quiet unraveling of comfort we once took for granted. These closures are not random, they are warnings of a nation growing distant from its workers, of shared memories fading into locked doors and faded signs, and of a future where even the cheapest meal becomes a luxury when that last refuge vanishes. What truly remains